Thank you for joining us for this month's National Economic Outlook, written by local market monitor founder Ingo Winzer. Ingo is a graduate of MIT and Boston University, and he's not your typical economist. He has a knack for presenting complex facts in an easily understandable way. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Ingo.
Thank you very much, Julie. Every month, we look at the latest economic data to see what they can tell us about real estate markets, where they are now, and where they might be headed. You make better investments when you have a better idea of the economic forces that affect supply and demand. Because of the government shutdown, many economic statistics are still not available, especially data about jobs, our best indicator for current economic growth. But we do have new data for home prices, which we'll focus on this month. Here's a picture of national home prices, seen as the percent increase each quarter from the same quarter of the previous year. After the huge surge in prices associated with the COVID pandemic, prices have bumped along at an average increase of about 5% in the last couple of years. What we're looking for, however, are clues to the future, and they're already here. Keep in mind that the gigantic rise in prices has put them far above the level that most people can pay. They would have to fall from 25 to 45%, depending on the local market, to get back in line with incomes. That hasn't happened so far, but the size of that gap is an enormous economic threat. Also keep in mind that when home prices start moving up or down, they keep moving. After 2008, after the last big run-up in prices, when the gap with incomes was much less than it is now, the fall in home prices continued for 5 years. That's what we're worried about now. And that's why early signs of price weakness, right when the economy is already slowing, are very disturbing. So let's look at some of those early signs. Florida is often the leader in home price changes because of the steady supply of homes that come on the market as the retiree population turns over. And in the last 2 quarters, home prices are down. But not everywhere in the state. So far, mainly in the markets around Tampa Bay, but they include both expensive markets like Naples and cheaper ones like Lakeland and Punta Gorda. In Cape Coral, Fort Myers, prices first edged lower and now are dropping at a faster rate. Maybe this is a phenomenon that's confined to Florida. Maybe retirement markets are different. Maybe this won't happen in the rest of the country, but I wouldn't bet on that. Here's the situation in Arizona. Just the slightest drop in prices in the last 2 quarters, but the picture looks disturbingly like Florida. It's the same in California and in Colorado and in Ohio. And in Nevada. And this pattern isn't just in the West. We see a very similar picture in Georgia. And maybe most disturbingly, in Texas, home of the strongest economy in the country, where you would expect to have the strongest support for home prices. That's the evidence so far that points to a wholesale downward adjustment of home prices, and it includes the 3 biggest home markets in the country, Florida, California, and Texas. But we don't see the same picture everywhere in the country. Not in Illinois, where home prices keep increasing at a steady rate. Note that the surge in prices during the pandemic was much smaller than in the states we've looked at so far. That could make a difference. And not in New York, where the pattern is the same. In a good number of other states, there also isn't much sign of weakness in home prices yet. It's happened before that instead of home prices adjusting downward to match up again with incomes, they just remain steady for years until income catches up. That's the alternative scenario, and that's why the economy is such an important tiebreaker. As I mentioned at the top, we don't have current job statistics. It's now December, and all we know is what's happened through September. But let's quickly run through the negative indicators. Here's a picture of jobs showing the increase each month compared to the same month of the previous year. Growth has been slowing for a while and at a faster pace in recent months. Jobs continue to disappear in the manufacturing sector. Growth has come to a halt in the construction sector. That's partly because of big job losses in home construction. The rapid growth of the big home healthcare sector has stopped. This has been one of the key drivers of healthcare in the last year. Rehiring in state government, much of it at state schools, has also come to a halt. And the slashing of jobs in the federal government continues. Next month, we should have a better idea of the economic situation, but it's difficult to believe that this will look any better. That's it. In this time of uncertainty, it's important for bankers and investors to stay on top of local economic and real estate developments. Local Market Monitor provides the data and analysis they need with local market reports and investors' metro analysis. Thanks very much for following along. This is our National Economic Outlook. I'm Ingo Winzer.